Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and thank you for clicking on this video. I am going to kind of break down the questions that I would get asked the most about the carnivore diet, and we're gonna go through some silly ones but also very understandable questions that people have when they're first starting to consider doing carnivore. I know for myself, I witnessed carnivore happen with my own family for a couple of weeks before I decided to try it, so all the questions that I always had, I would just ask my parents about. Last year when I started carnivore in 2024, I documented my entire journey from start to finish on TikTok, and I would get so many questions about how I was doing, how my body was feeling, like was I feeling like my arteries were clogging up as we speak, and I saved so many comments because I thought they were so funny, but also like really realistic comments. And so I'm not gonna shortcut anything. I'm gonna be super honest, and I also want to say that I am not a medical expert. I am a first grade teacher, so if you have questions medically, go talk to your doctor or consult someone that's not me. I'm just sharing what my experience was, and from the research that I've done, I'd be happy to link different researchers, different doctors in the comments, because obviously you should do your research and see if this is something that would work for you. So we're just gonna jump right in, and I'll be reading comments off of my phone, so if you see me looking down, that's why I'm looking down. I'm gonna start off with defining carnivore. I think that's where I got the most amount of questions, okay? Carnivore at its basic level is just animal products, but it's really specific, okay? It can't have carbs and it can't have sugars. So that eliminates things like milk or buttermilk or these other things that do contain those items. Really, it is an all meat diet. Now, I hesitate to say that because a lot of carnivores will do any type of meat, any seafood, eggs, specific and very limited dairy, and that's kind of where you get your nutrients from. It does not include vegetables, it does not include fruit, alcohol, coffee, zero sugar or sugar-free. There is a big difference between carnivore and just eating sugar-free things. If it is not an animal product, it is not carnivore. That was the biggest, I think, category of questions is, can I have fruit on this diet? Can I still eat vegetables? Can I still have alcohol? So let's go through some of those, okay? The first comment I'm going to read, it says, I'm on day 3 of carnivore and I'm not feeling well at all. I woke up really dizzy this morning, some nausea, but the dizziness is crazy. I'm hoping the water I drink will help. I feel the same when I first start this diet again, and I think it's really common for people who have done keto before. You're familiar with the term keto flu, but your body is essentially just detoxing from sugar and carbs. You can really feel lethargic. You can feel like you're almost going through withdrawal. I felt really dehydrated. There's lots of different symptoms, and that's a very shared experience. Such a shock to the system when you really think about what you're doing. You are going from, you know, consuming, I don't know, maybe possibly hundreds of carbs a day. I don't know what you eat before you went onto carnivore. For me, I was easily consuming over 100 carbs a day, even when I was on animal-based, because I was eating so much fruit. And so even though that stuff is healthy or, you know, considered whole foods, it still contains natural sugars and carbs. So going off of those things, your body is like, what's going on? And are you trying to kill me? It's very normal for you to just be totally thrown off. One of the things that really helps though, and kind of will maybe usher that season along quicker, is definitely getting enough hydration and enough electrolytes. Electrolytes are so key for your body during this time. They are help replenishing your muscles, your antioxidants, your vitamins, all the things that you need in electrolytes. You should be drinking them a lot. You should also be drinking a lot of water, a lot. If you're feeling sick the first couple of days, you are not alone. You're not doing it wrong. That's really normal. It's also really normal to see a sudden drop of weight loss in that first week. And it could be from water weight. It could just be, you know, inflammation is draining out of your body. One of the things that's really frustrating me right now, I've been on carnivore for almost 2 weeks now, and I have lost 3 pounds, okay? 3 pounds. I'll say it again, 3 pounds. it's really, really aggravating because I know that this diet works and I know that I have a lot more weight to lose than 3 pounds. My body's probably thinking it's in a yo-yo diet pattern because there were so many times where I would start carnivore and stop. I think that's one of the worst things you can do for your body is to keep switching it up constantly on it and it doesn't know what to do or hold on to, so it just holds on to everything. So just be patient. That's very normal. There's nothing wrong with you. It's gonna get better. It's only gonna last maybe a week, maybe. The next comment that I want to address is, are you able to drink alcohol / coffee / tea? When you go back to what you're supposed to be consuming, it's not about what you like can't have. You really need to start looking at it as, what am I allowed to have? I think the easiest way to eliminate things is, if it doesn't come from an animal, can I have it? No. Alcohol? No. Coffee and tea, this is where I think people start to, the blurred lines come out a little bit. For coffee, for instance, you can have a very low carb coffee, but it begs the question, are you doing low carb or are you doing carnivore? There's ways to add a lot of protein to your coffee. There's ways to make it bulletproof or add butter, add an egg yolk. There's all these different things you can do to fill your coffee with nutrients. I know a lot of carnivores who do not give up coffee and they are 1000% on carnivore. So if coffee is something that you want to keep in your diet, I don't think that anybody would think twice about it. My go-to saying is kind of like, if this is what you need to successfully do this diet that is going to heal your body, make you feel better, make you lose weight, then do it. For me, something that I still really struggle with, and I've shared this on TikTok for many months, I am addicted to soda. Through and through addicted to soda. If there's a soda in my vicinity, you will catch me there. A soda hates to see me coming. And these are worse for you, okay? Coke Zero and Diet Coke, I know they're literally worse for you. I know, you don't have to tell me. You'll still catch me drinking a Diet Coke or a Coke Zero several times a week. It is something that I'm really trying to break the habit of, but I am still on carnivore, and if it keeps me eating healthy the other 99.9% of the time, I don't care. So when it comes to alcohol, soda, tea, coffee, you really just need to understand that no, it's technically not carnivore. Tea is a lot higher in carbs. I used to drink chai tea concentrate and other teas, and it was shocking how many carbs and sugars were in those teas. So just look at the packaging of what you decide you want to consume. Do you include any fruit at all? I know some people do it with raw honey. This would be something I would suggest down the road if you are doing carnivore for the first time. A big benefit of carnivore is figuring out what is causing inflammation in your diet. And when you eliminate everything except for meat, you really start to kind of come into harmony with your body. And so whenever you add something back, you can pinpoint how that makes you feel because you've gone for so long without it. I highly suggest just doing straight carnivore with no add-ins or no alterations for the first 30 days. And as someone who has done this for a much longer period of time, there were benefits that I did not start seeing until much later, way past the 30 days. And had I started adding in things gradually at day 31, I don't know that I would have ever seen those benefits down the road. Your body will literally tell you how it feels about something. I remember the first time I broke carnivore ever. It was on day like 86, okay? So 86 straight days, no cheating, no sugar-free stuff, nothing. Just straight meat products. And I had some sugar-free gummy bears, okay? I don't really know what possessed me to do this. I knew my husband's birthday was coming up, and so I wanted to see if it would make me sick. So I decided to do something sugar-free and convinced myself that this was okay because it was sugar-free. I started having heart palpitations. I was in shock. I can handle nausea or like feeling like I'm gonna be sick. Feeling like a major organ in your body is not functioning properly or is reacting to what you just consumed is like terrifying. I have never felt that way. It was so scary. What freaks me out more is that for years, my whole life, eating sugar, I had become so numb to the side effects of sugar because I had always had it. So if I had a headache or if my stomach hurt or if my back hurt or I had joint pain, who knew where that was from? That was just life. But when you cut those things out, you start to realize that your daily diet is a big contributor to how your body feels. When it comes to fruit or raw honey, those things, as great as they are, I would really try to stay away from those things until you're out of the 30-day window. And really by the time you get to day 30, you may be like, I'm not stopping anytime soon. I feel so good. I'm seeing results. Just know 30 days from now, if you're choosing to start today, you won't recognize yourself how you're feeling right now. Like there are still days where I'm like, I hate my life. I don't know why I decided to do this again. And even though I've only lost 3 pounds, I feel good. I have my energy back. I'm sleeping great. I'm able to focus during the workday. There are immediate benefits that you're going to start to see off the bat. Another question I would get a lot is, do you track calories, and how do you know if you're over or under eating? And this was something that I thought was so interesting. I remember one time my dad did an experiment where he had a 3,000 calorie day. He ate 3,000 calories in one day. It was all from steak and like meat. It was completely carnivore, but 3,000 calories a day. And he lost a pound the next morning. And I remember thinking like, that is literally crazy, because I had always assumed that food needed to be measured by the calories. And then when I did keto, I was like, oh no, food needs to be measured by carbs and sugars. You really don't need to track anything on carnivore, because there's nothing you're putting in your body that should technically be adding to your weight. Your calorie count is gonna be low kind of constantly because you're eating low calorie things, but they're packed with nutrients. They are the most nutrient dense food you could be having. And so you're gonna be able to technically, if you're counting calories, eat a ton of food before you probably don't need to eat 2,000 calories worth of meat for you to be full in a day. Right now, I eat 2 meals a day. I don't really have breakfast. I can if I want to. I don't really have breakfast. I typically eat, my lunch period for my students is at 10:30. So I'm like having a brunch, and then I have a pretty big dinner or like lunch. There are carnivores who do OMAD, 1 meal a day. There are people who still eat all 3 meals a day, or there are people who kind of eat constantly throughout the day. Whatever your eating habit is and how frequently you eat, you'll probably notice though it's gonna change, because protein is so filling, you're not gonna need to eat so frequently. I remember last year whenever I first started carnivore, I spent the day with my sister who was doing keto, and that morning I had a pretty big breakfast, and then I did not eat again until lunch. And we spent the whole day together, and what was so fascinating is she was eating all these keto foods and a lot of like packaged foods. She doesn't really eat like this now, but I noticed that in the time that I ate 2 meals and stayed full, she ate probably 8 or 9 times throughout the entire day. Little things, snacks, her meals, a drink. Like, she was hungry the whole day. And I had breakfast, and then I had a meal that was falling between lunch and dinner time, and I was fine for the rest of the day. That's how filled I was from my meals. Basically what I'm saying is it's almost irrelevant to track calories during carnivore, because if you're going fully by the calorie count, it's really not going to be super telling, and there's really not a need. Like, there's nothing you really need to micromanage on this diet, which is nice. This comment cracked me up, but I hate meat. I would get this comment so frequently, people being like, I hate meat. I don't want to do carnivore. And all I could think of was like, who's making you? No one's making you. But if it gives you any sense of comfort, I don't really like meat. I like the thought of meat sometimes makes me nauseous, especially the first week of carnivore. I was nauseous. And there's really not a comfort food of just meat. Like, I love grilled cheese and mac and cheese and fruit and sushi. My meals may have been centered with meat in them, but I was never one to go to a restaurant and be like, ah yes, give me like some roasted chicken. No, I wanted like pasta. It's okay if you're not like a diehard meat lover. I wasn't either, but your taste buds change, and your body, more than it starts to crave food, it starts to crave how you're feeling. So that's what I hold on to at the beginning, is I start to feel really good very quickly. So yes, I was not a meat lover. We can't eat no fruits at all. Sorry. This was a good question. I remember when this question came in, I was so upset with this person. They said, so my question is, what happens when you stop and go back to bringing in carbs again and natural sugars? I'm terrified the weight will come back. I can't see how eating carnivore forever is healthy. This is a very understandable comment. The only reason I was so caught off guard by this was because I agreed, and I felt guilty for agreeing. And that's why I wanted to start off the video by saying, I'm gonna be super honest. Carnivore is purely the vehicle I am using to get to my destination. decision. I am not some like hardcore believer in carnivore. Like, I don't think plants and vegetables are evil. I completely understand why we don't eat them on carnivore. I agree with the research. Like, there's plenty of research to back up this decision, and I understand it all. In spite of all that, I will at some point return to having fruit and vegetables in my diet. I plan on having a very well-balanced lifestyle following carnivore. However, knowing what just happened to me for the last 6 months, I am nowhere near my goal, and I don't really need to start experimenting with other types of eating until I hit my goal. So in the meantime, I'm not gonna be thinking about, you know, oh, I miss fruit, oh, I miss, you know, pasta, oh, I miss sushi. That does no good for anybody, honestly. And at the end of the day, this is more important to me right now than having sushi. Okay, where do I get my meat from? That's another big question. Where do I get my meat from? Do I buy only organic? Can you buy from the regular grocery store? I will say, like, I try and get my meat when it's on sale. I am not somebody who's gonna like go buy half a cow. I have literally had people ask me, are you gonna go buy a cow? No, I'm gonna buy my meat from the grocery store. Luckily, there's lots of discounts and coupons, and my parents kind of like look out for coupons. They have an app that actually shares like when meat drops and stuff like that. So I get regular meat from the grocery store. It is not always organic because I can't always afford that. What I have to tell myself is like, this is still the step in the right direction. Even if it's not organic meat, it is still better than stuffing your face with like Sour Patch Kids. Did you experience hair loss on it? This was such an interesting question to me. I actually had more hair loss whenever I was heavier than I did when I started carnivore. And I think this might change from person to person. This is definitely, I'm sure, hormone related, but I think that people that struggle with obesity tend to have a lot more hair loss just because of all of, you know, the craziness going on internally. So as I lost weight, even though it was kind of quick, like it was kind of a rapid weight loss, I never ever saw hair loss. I actually saw less hair loss. So this could probably vary from person to person, but that was my experience. Did you experience constipation? What about hair loss? I watched another carnivore dieter speak of leg cramps. Did you experience it too? I'm just trying to research before I dive in. These are all such good questions. The constipation is probably what I think most people are the most fearful of. And I think it kind of goes both ways. People are either constipated or they can't get off the toilet. And the first time around that I did carnivore, I was the second. I was very sick, but I'm also just extremely sensitive to like any change in diet at all. I was sick. Let's just put it that way. And this is where the fat comes in, and it's so important. If you are doing carnivore and you're only eating chicken and eggs and seafood, none of those meats are heavy enough in fat. You really do need to eat beef, and it doesn't need to be lean beef. You need to eat fatty beef because the fat is the fuel, as people say on carnivore. If you are having a high fat content, it is really going to help regulate your bathroom schedule. It's also going to help with like muscle cramps or leg spasms. I know my mom for a long time was getting Charlie horses during carnivore. Electrolytes help with that. Fat helps with that. So even though that's the part that makes me want to like gag, I don't want to even think about eating fat. That's disgusting to me, but it's really, really necessary. And so that will help regulate you. I also take magnesium, and that helps as well. People do fear, like, if I'm not getting fiber, how am I using the bathroom? Later, as your body acclimates to carnivore, if you need to take magnesium at the beginning, take magnesium. If you're still taking fiber, I will just say that that could kind of be counterintuitive to the fact that you're on carnivore. In your reality, your body's gonna work it out. But we also have to remember, I remember hearing somebody say this and reading about it, what waste is. Like, at the end of the day, sorry to be really graphic, but like poop is also waste. Like, part of that is just waste, and it's the unused nutrients from food. But when you're on carnivore, you really are using a bulk of what you're eating. Your body is using it as fuel and as strength and nutrients. So that's normal to experience irregular bowel movements on carnivore, but it will work itself out. It's not going to stay like that forever. And if it is staying like that forever, really pay attention. Are you getting enough fat? Are you dehydrated? Are you getting enough electrolytes? And if you're answering yes to all of that, there's really nothing wrong with getting on like magnesium, because I've done that from the beginning this time and I have not struggled with that at all, and I've been on it for 12 days now. The last question I want to talk about is, do I exercise a lot? I'm actually going to be making like kind of a series about exercising. I used to be really active when I was a kid. As I got heavier, basic movement just hurt. And like, I know that that's so common, but I felt so embarrassed, because if I were to like go play basketball or go play a sport, I could definitely play, but I would be sore after and I wouldn't seek out being in physical discomfort. And because you're also just kind of like very aware of yourself whenever you are bigger. So whenever you are seeking out a workout, starting off with something low impact or just something like walking, you know, I used to feel like walking was so overrated, or like people were always trying to like get heavier people to walk, but I understand why now. We also love to play pickleball, but the unsung hero is Just Dance, okay? I love Just Dance. That was such a fun thing for me to do. I would do 2 or 3 really high intensity Just Dance videos, and it ends up being about 12 to 15 minutes of like high cardio. It was so fun. So I was always trying to stay active in some way, but when I was on keto, I was much more serious about working out. And this time around, I really do want to do a better job of working out, but you will still lose fat, not muscle on carnivore. You will be losing fat, not muscle. It's so interesting being on severe diets like carnivore or keto or like Weight Watchers, calorie counting. I've done all those things. The body composition with carnivore was different. I can't explain it, but like when I got married, I was 20 pounds lower than the lowest I ever was on carnivore. I was still fitting into my clothes from my wedding time, and it was fitting me the same as if I were 20 pounds less, because your body just adapts and changes differently with carnivore. I don't know how else to explain it. So I don't think it's necessary off the bat to be exercising, but you should be moving. Be mobile in some way. Don't just, you know, become a couch potato. Don't resist pushing yourself in that way. You might be uncomfortable and it might even, you know, hurt at some points, but there's some level of movement that you should start incorporating into your lifestyle. So those are all the questions that I went through today. If you have any more, please feel free to drop them in the comments. I loved learning questions. I loved hearing about what people were curious about with carnivore. I think it is so important to share our experiences. Like I said, I am clearly not a doctor. I am not a medical professional. This is just what worked for me. These were my experiences. And so I hope that I was able to help you and maybe demystify some of it. And if you have started to do the 30-day challenge with us, or if you're on your own weight loss journey, I'd love for you to join this little corner of the internet. It's been so nice hearing from people, and just in the past week, all the love and messages that I've gotten have been so encouraging, and we're here to encourage you, and you can do it. You can reach your goals. I fully believe that 2025 can be your best year for your health and getting your life back on track in that way. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have not liked and subscribed, please do so, and let me know in the comments what you think or if you have any questions.